Imagine cruising tens of thousands of feet in the air, miles above the Earth, when suddenly, everything goes quiet. The engines fail, the alarms blare, and the lives of hundreds of passengers are left entirely in the hands of the pilots. Welcome to the channel. Today, we are counting down the top 6 greatest emergency landings in aviation history. These are not movie scripts. These are real-life miracles where extraordinary skill, nerves of steel, and a little bit of luck turned certain disaster into incredible tales of survival. Let's start the countdown from number 6 to the ultimate masterclass in aviation survival. Miracles in the sky. Top 6 greatest emergency landings in history. Number 6. TACA Flight 110, the Levee landing. Kicking off our countdown at number 6 is the unbelievable story of TACA Flight 110. In May 1988, Captain Carlos Dardano, who had famously lost one eye during a civil war in El Salvador, was flying a brand new Boeing 737 toward New Orleans. Suddenly, the aircraft flew into a massive, severe thunderstorm. The extreme rain and hail caused both engines to flame out, leaving the plane as a heavy glider. With no airports in reach and altitude dropping fast, Captain Dardano spotted a narrow, grassy levee right next to a NASA assembly facility. Demonstrating incredible precision, he glided the massive jet onto the grass, landing so smoothly that there were 0 fatalities, and the plane didn't even suffer major damage. Number 5. British Airways Flight 9, the Ash Cloud. Moving right along to number 5, we travel to 1982 over the dark Indian Ocean. British Airways Flight 9, commanded by Captain Eric Moody, was cruising at 37,000 feet when all 4 engines of the Boeing 747 inexplicably stopped working. Unbeknownst to the crew, they had flown directly into a cloud of volcanic ash from Mount Galunggung in Indonesia. In one of the most famously calm announcements in aviation history, Captain Moody told the passengers, "We have a small problem. All 4 engines have stopped." The crew glided the massive jumbo jet through the dark sky, dropping thousands of feet until they finally cleared the ash cloud. Miraculously, the denser air allowed them to restart the engines one by one, and they successfully made an emergency landing in Jakarta, saving all 263 people on board. Number 4. Aloha Airlines Flight 243, the Flying Convertible. The terror escalates at number 4, with Aloha Airlines Flight 243 in April 1988. Captain Robert Schornsteimer and First Officer Madeline Tompkins were flying a Boeing 737 between the Hawaiian Islands. At 24,000 feet, a catastrophic, explosive decompression occurred, violently tearing off a massive section of the plane's roof. The aircraft was essentially turned into a high-speed, flying convertible in the freezing upper atmosphere. Despite extreme wind noise, structural damage that threatened to snap the plane in half, and failing flight controls, the pilots managed to keep the battered aircraft stable. They executed a harrowing emergency landing at Kahului Airport in Maui. Tragically, one flight attendant was swept out during the explosion, but the pilot's superhuman efforts saved the other 94 people on board. Number 3. Air Canada Flight 143, the Gimli Glider. Breaking into our top 3, At number 3 is the legendary incident known as the Gimli Glider. In 1983, Air Canada Flight 143, piloted by Captain Bob Pearson, was cruising at 41,000 feet when a bizarre math error caused a complete disaster. A mix-up in converting pounds to kilograms meant the Boeing 767 was only loaded with half the fuel it needed. Mid-flight, both engines ran completely dry. Captain Pearson, an experienced glider pilot, used an advanced technique called a forward slip to drastically drop altitude without gaining too much speed. He aimed for an abandoned Royal Canadian Air Force Base in Gimli, Manitoba. What he didn't know was that the runway had been converted into a drag strip, and it was currently hosting a family racing event. Pearson managed to skid the massive jet right down the middle of the drag strip, stopping just short of the crowds. Everyone survived without serious injury. Number 2. Air Transat Flight 236, the Atlantic Glide. Just missing the top spot is our number 2, Air Transat Flight 236. In August 2001, Captain Robert Pichet and First Officer Dirk de Jager were flying an Airbus A330 across the Atlantic Ocean when a severe mechanical failure caused a massive fuel leak. In the dead of night, high over the freezing ocean, both engines died. They were 120 kilometers away from the nearest piece of land, a tiny military airbase in the Azores. Pichet executed the longest passenger aircraft glide in aviation history. Calculating their descent with zero room for error, they glided the massive, silent airliner for over 20 minutes, coming in fast and hard onto the island runway. The plane blew its tires upon touchdown, but all 306 people on board walked away alive. Number 1. U.S. Airways Flight 1549, the Miracle on the Hudson. And finally, taking the crown at number 1 is an event that captivated the entire world, the Miracle on the Hudson. On January 15, 2009, U.S. Airways Flight 1549 took off from LaGuardia Airport in New York City. Moments later, the Airbus A320 struck a flock of Canadian geese, immediately destroying both engines. Captain Chesley Sully Sullenberger and First Officer Jeffrey Skiles realized they had no thrust, no altitude, and absolutely no time to reach any nearby airport. In a crowded metropolitan area, Sully made a split-second, unprecedented decision. He was going to land a commercial airliner on the freezing waters of the Hudson River. With flawless technique, Sully flared the aircraft at the perfect angle, touching down smoothly on the water without breaking the plane apart. Ferries rushed to the sinking jet, and every single one of the 155 passengers and crew members was rescued. It remains the greatest, most flawlessly executed emergency landing in modern history. These 6 incredible stories prove that when technology fails, human courage and exceptional skill can still save the day. The pilots and crews in these incidents didn't just fly planes, they performed miracles in the sky. Which of these emergency landings do you think was the most intense? Let me know down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more unbelievable true stories, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Thanks for watching, and safe travels wherever you go.